A while back, we talked about a creature that's near and dear to all of our hearts, the
kangaroo. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
You were already starting, goddammit.
Yeah, because it was a goddamn kangaroo and everybody knows it.
All right, well, for me and everybody else who's cool, who's listening, it was some fucking...
You mean the rubes, the easily duped, the marks?
Marks? Oh no.
Yeah, you bunch of marks. Fucking marks.
Well, I found an article that had some creatures that I don't think you'll be able to call a kangaroo.
You're right, I'll probably call him a barn owl.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a couple of these that I definitely think are barn owls, but some aren't. And this article, I'll put it in the show notes. It's a great article. I try to research the ones I picked to pull from this article. They themselves mention these stories come from 2 books, and one of them I'm trying to get a hold of quite desperately, and when I get it, we'll cover more stuff from these stories and other things that are in the book, but it's just the weirdest fucking shit that people have ever encountered as far as creatures goes.
And just so we're all on the same page here, this is my first time hearing these stories as well. I didn't even look at the article. I'm going to sit here and listen to Mateo rattle off the story and provide me with the backup evidence, and then I will play the role of Joe Nickel.
Yes, I think we all should join hands at the end of every story and ask Mike if he can tell us if this was a fucking kangaroo or not.
Yes. Everybody join hands and just think really hard whether or not it's a kangaroo. And somewhere I'll wake up at like 3:42 in the morning in cold sweat being like, it wasn't a kangaroo. I was wrong. My life is a lie. And then I'll hug my pillow and I'll cry myself back to sleep. You guys haunt my dreams.
Play some Tiffany. Put on some...
You play some Tiffany.
That's what you're gonna do.
That's what you're gonna do.
I'm not gonna... I didn't mean right now play some Tiffany.
Maybe you should.
Will it make you feel better?
No.
All right.
Those days have come and gone, Mateo. Just let Tiffany go. It's a Cyndi Lauper world after all.
I'm good with that.
But we're not here to talk about 80s pop icons.
No, we talked about music enough on the previous episode.
Yeah. We're here to talk about kangaroos and barn owls.
Yeah.
And dogs with mange and swamp gas.
We'll see about that, sir. We'll see about that.
All right, I look forward to the challenge, and I hope that you can provide me with something that is not a barn owl or a kangaroo or a wild boar or a pickle in a jar.
Well, some of these are so weird, dude, that I gotta go with barn owl. I have no other explanation other than the likelihood that it's a barn owl to begin with. There's just nothing else you can call these things.
All right, enough preamble. Let's get to the monsters.
The first story takes place back in 1975 on Long Island. A junior high school teacher by the name of Tom Dercole. One morning before heading off to work, Tom noticed a very small, out-of-place black cloud in the sky on what was a clear and sunny day. And he noticed this just out of his window while he was getting ready to leave for work. He became alarmed when he noticed that this little black cloud was floating right towards his house at a pretty good rate of speed against the wind. So once it reached his house, Tom stepped outside to take a look at it, and it wasn't a cloud at all. And he describes it in this quote, which I'll read right now. This basketball-sized cloud floated back and forth across the peak of the roof, changing in shape from a small globular mass to a large ovoid, and finally becoming an abstract, multi-curved, dark, vaporous something. It finally measured about 6 feet in height and 1.5 feet in width. So after observing this weird thing floating above his house for a few moments, he said it transformed into a giant mouth with lips and teeth and everything. It then started to take rapid inward heavy gasps of air, after which it vomited a geyser that was so huge it covered him and his entire house.
Was it water?
Well, as soon as it hit and he kind of covered and flinched from the water falling, he said everything evaporated along with this creature or entity. And him being a science teacher, noticed some of his clothes was still partially wet, and he saved them in a bag and had it tested, and it ended up being just water. Now, I was able to find this story on, somebody covered it on a podcast. It's called the Kryptonaut Podcast, and they call this creature the Sky Spitter. But that's got to be one of the weirdest goddamn, I don't even know.
That's a very weird, like, in my head, I picture this little black cloud floating, and then it slowly morphs into like a black version of the old Twizzlers mascot. I don't know if anybody, there's probably a lot of people that are going to be like, what? But the old Twizzlers mascot was like this disembodied mouth with these big red lips and big white teeth, and it would just eat the Twizzlers. Like that was, and maybe calling it a mascot is, you know, giving it too much credit, but those were like the Twizzler commercials, were these disembodied mouths that ate the Twizzlers. And that's what I picture, except black, and then spit water out all over the dude. But that's really weird though. Like I've never, because to me, that seems like too weird of a story to make up and then claim to have seen. Like making up a story about seeing a UFO or being abducted, like that's something that's kind of like, I don't want to say it's believable outright, but it's I guess there's more public awareness centered around it. But if you tell someone you saw this cloud that was flying against the wind and floating over your house and it morphed into a mouth and spit all over you, like, people are going to think you're fucking bonkers.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story to share if it's not true. I mean, this literally sounds like a crazy person or somebody on LSD.
Yeah, that was my next thing. Was there any chance that he may have been exposed to hallucinogens or having some sort of mental breakdown?
It didn't seem so afterwards. And again, once I get this book, I'll be able to read more about this. But I'm not sure. I don't think so. There was no mention of him after this. I think that would be a big part of this story. Even if, let's say, it gets tossed in there as a sub-note, they would say something like the encounter drove him to go mad or something like that. But there's nothing like that. I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah.
So who knows? But that's a hell of a thing. Now, so let's as big of a task this may be, what the fuck is this thing here? This was a barn owl. The
only like if I'm trying to think of a rational explanation for what this could be, I would say it could be maybe some sort of balloon or a kite that maybe had some sort of water thing attached to it, but then having it evaporate immediately is weird as well.
He did say that it hovered above his house for a few moments, so it was still, but it stayed in one spot. So I don't think this is a kite or a balloon. To me, I mean, the story is just so far-fetched. It's honestly not even believable because it's so bizarre and out there. But like I was saying, because it's so far-fetched, you kind of almost want to believe it, because who would make it up? But it's ridiculous. For one, he just happens to look up and see this cloud. And upon seeing the cloud, he notices that the cloud is flying right towards him. And then it just conveniently hovers around the top of his house and floats around, then turns into a mouth and spits on him. Unless that was like the mouth of God being like, you know what? I really don't like you and I just want to spit in your face. And then the mouth of God spits right in his face. I've been trying to tell you for years.
Yeah, he's like, you don't stand a chance. You're going straight to hell.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. In one version of the story, I read that he was already outside on his way to his car when he noticed this cloud and it came towards him. I don't know if this took place in the front yard or the backyard. If it's in the front yard at that time, I mean, he's going to work at a school. You think he's leaving to get to this place maybe a half hour early, an hour early? I expect witnesses.
I don't know. Teachers got it going really early, man. Especially if he's like a high school teacher. He's got to be there at like 6:30 in the morning. There's not going to be a lot of people out and about in the middle of the, especially looking up at the sky. People don't generally look up at the sky. Well, maybe in the 70s they did. They didn't have cell phones to suck up all their attention. But I don't know. I don't think it's too unbelievable that there were no witnesses. Had it been like in the middle of a city, in the middle of the day, then maybe. But if it's just like in a suburban neighborhood at 6 a.m, I don't think there would be any witnesses.
That's viable. I gotta go with dimensional breach here. I think this is we've read stories that have similar creatures in the sense that it's just unknown and bizarre, and for some reason I always get the feel of just some interdimensional breach that's it's fascinating to think about what that creature's purpose is and what purpose it could be serving. To be flying around and transforming into mouths and barfing on shit. I mean, he said it changed color, it changed shape, it was moving, it was fluctuating.
It changed color?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So this is like some weird anomaly with some type of intelligence behind it.
Maybe. Or maybe it was all a dream. Or an acid flashback.
Yeah.
I mean, crazier things have happened, man. I would like to see some follow-up from this guy and see if anything else was ever experienced and find out why he decided to come out and tell the story. Because as a teacher, if you don't have credibility, you can't teach.
I mean, no, let's say we're not two dudes doing a podcast about paranormal and supernatural and weird shit, and this guy comes and tells you this shit. This is somebody who's insane.
Well, I don't think necessarily insane, but like, so I have a respectable job outside of this. And I would not tell anybody that, I don't use my last name on here for a reason, so I can tell my ridiculous stories and not have to be ridiculed for it in my real life. Like, there's a million mics out there, so I don't need to worry about that, but
it's Gleibenhopper, guys. Mike,
try
Gleibenhopper.
Try spelling it though.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. You'll find me in the phone book under Globenheimer. Gleiben, whatever Mateo said it was. That's my last name, and I'm sticking to it. But I mean, if I was a teacher, and I work in higher ed, so it's not something that I would expect to just tell people, let alone tell the right people that gets my story in a book and an article.
Yeah, being somebody who's working around children, this is a high school teacher. Being somebody who works with this dude, I would report that because I truly believe that it's one of three things. This guy has mental illness. He maybe took some heart medication and smoked some weed before he went to work and something weird happened, or this actually happened. He saw this.
I have heard of the anomalous black clouds and clouds that go against the wind, but I've never heard of any transforming into a mouth or anything like that. Like, maybe what if the mouth was just like it wasn't necessarily like really a mouth, it just took on the shape, like it could take on the shape of an eye? Or what if it was just this little hole, just this little thing peering through the veil from another dimension? Like, I mean, as weird as it would be to see a mouth form in the sky and spit on you, just imagine like a smoky black hole opening up in the sky and then an eyeball looks through at you.
Oh, God.
Like, not the shape of an eyeball, but like an actual eye looking through this hole.
That'd be terrifying and awesome.
Yeah. It would be both terrifying and awesome. But I would like to know if there was any other anomalies in the area, or if there was any sightings of anything else in the sky or even on the ground if maybe something else came through in that area or around the area during that time period or around that time period. And that's the thing. You need more follow-up. Otherwise, it's just one guy with a fucking wacky story.
Most definitely, when it comes to these one-offs, and like we've said before, these one-offs are our favorites.
Yeah, they're so fun. And no one else ever reports it, and it's there, and then it's gone and never seen again, but it just gets this legendary status. It's so fun. Because then you contemplate it. You're trying to fill in the backstory, trying to figure out possible ideas of what it was or where it came from. But in this case, I will say conclusively that it is not a kangaroo.
Oh, excellent. Score 1 for us.
Yeah. Score 1 for the anti-kangaroo contingent.
We're winning, guys, already. First story.
Yeah, well, I mean, a kangaroo would be pretty hard-pressed to fly in the sky and change colors and then turn into a mouth and spit.
It's just such a weird Jim Henson type creature looking or sounding thing.
Yeah. The trick's on us. It really was a kangaroo, but he had a jetpack that was equipped with the thing that those planes have when they do the skywriting. His smoke was black instead of white, and he just decided to fuck with this guy, and then he took off giggling. So that's another thing. So how did this story end? Did it just spit on the dude and then disappear?
Yeah, that's where the story ends.
It disappeared with the water?
I guess so.
So what if its essence was the water and it was spitting itself onto the ground and onto the dude? And so on his clothes he had some aspect of whatever this thing was.
Maybe it was like an interdimensional blessing.
Or interdimensional ejaculate. Or what if it was just like a garbage chute and they're just like, send the liquefied garbage through there. And it just splashes on this dude. Like all over the world at just random points in time. Usually it's over the ocean because, the ocean's huge. But these things just appear and spit out water. And that's like their waste in this other dimension. And no one ever sees it. It happens up in the mountains, in the ocean, remote forests, and this dude's house for some reason. He just happened to catch it as it was happening, and it spit on him, and the rest is history. So we need to get a team of people out there in the world, like everywhere in the world. If you guys could just hold hands and like make a net all around the world, for those in the ocean, you can build platforms. Like we'll do it like checkerboard style. Connect them that way, and then you can all be connected. And everybody just look in the sky for these things that are dumping their interdimensional pollutants into our oceans and forests. They're the ones responsible for global warming, damn it. Carbon emissions are just getting a bad rap. It's interdimensional garbage water. That's what it is.
And jizzing.
Yeah.
They're mouths of dimensional hopping prostitutes.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, you don't want to know what the STDs are like in other dimensions.
Yeah, on
Glocknar
like 4.
Fucking horror movie. Yeah. So that's something we need to be on the lookout for. And if anybody sees it, please take notes, write it down. If you can videotape it, that would be excellent. And let us know your experience. We need to get more information on this so that we can stop this pollutant from the other dimension from destroying our entire world.
Yep.
What if that's what the hurricanes are? What if it's just these things opening up in the middle of the ocean and they just like blow really hard and it creates this fucking hurricane?
That's almost as terrifying as seeing that thing manifest into a mouth and it's starting to take those deep breaths in. That had to be fucking scary. It's just all and fucking vomits water everywhere.
Yeah. That's had it been in the ocean, that would have turned into a hurricane. But luckily it was over land, so there was no hurricane to be had there. It was just, just hocking a loogie on this dude. But what if, so going in that vein, what if it was some form of like weather weapon in early stages of testing, and they just wanted to see if they can control a cloud?
That's a mythical fucking weather control. It's able to transform and change
Maybe
color.
They're wizards.
I mean, hell, who knows?
They're weather wizards.
What if that's the way that they manipulate weather? What if that's the answer?
I don't know.
Wizardry and fucking cloud mouthed.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone can do it, it would be the weather wizard. We need Reed Richards' stat.
On to the next one.
All right. So, no Kangaroo 1.
Correct.
I'm still not convinced that it still could be a barn owl thing.
Yeah. That could be one of the only possible explanations for something like that.
Yeah, they're crafty sumbitches, and they use their time traveling technology, and they can do all sorts of crazy shit. They'll just they'll come out, and then they'll rewind time, and then another version of them will come out, and they'll just keep coming out like over and over again, so that they overlap, and then it just takes on the appearance of this big cloud because they overlap so many times just to fuck with this dude. And then they spit on him.
Just imagine that ability in battle. I mean, they're fierce creatures.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we warn you guys.
We fought them.
Mm-hmm. Not unscathed.
No. I'm still missing an ass cheek from that battle.
Oh, yeah. That one was pretty handsy with you.
I think he liked me, but, Barack Obama he's a no-nonsense sort of Time Lord. You got to do what he says. It was basically me or the barn owl, and self-preservation kicks in, and he's like, you know what? I'll just go for the ass. He went for the ass, much to my chagrin, but, at least he has a trophy.
Guys, please donate so we can replace Mike's missing ass cheek for proper sitting and walking purposes.
I am sitting lopsided. I've got to load up my wallet like George Costanza to kind of balance it out. But
we've tried to find the right thickness of book. It's just no luck.
It's tough, man. I'm telling you, living life with one ass cheek, it's a real humdinger.
It's funny to think that in 20,000 years when that battle took place, you'll be a war hero. Just not now.
Yeah, no one will appreciate it though. Oh, so in 20,000 years, my ass cheek can't get stolen because it's already taken.
Oh, God, you've created a paradox with your butt cheeks.
Oh, God. I just destroyed time.
This is a breakthrough.
If time implodes upon itself and we all die, I want to apologize on behalf of my ass half that's missing.
Okay, we can stay here all day. Moving on. Arizona, 2005.
Oh, recent.
Yes, sir.
Sexy.
I must state that the witness who reported this wanted to remain nameless, and I couldn't find much else on this story.
In other words, the author made the story up, and it's just really cool.
Well, see, I like this story, and I did think of that. That automatically pops into my mind, that thought, and I don't want to think that way. So with the story, and because of this story, I'm not going to think that.
You go on with your idealistic self.
I'm going to.
Do it. One of us needs to be.
After an argument with her boyfriend at the early hour of 3 a.m., this young lady leaves her house, went for a walk to create some space and cool off like a smart person does. As she approached her house on the walk back, she claims that she saw, quote, flashing blue lights above and near her house. And this spooked her out enough to cause her to hurry inside of her house. And when she reached her living room, she was greeted by a 7 to 8 foot tall creature with, quote, a rock head and jellyfish skin, accompanied by 2 smaller 5 foot.
Wow. This is like the coolest guy. This sounds like a Ninja Turtles villain.
Yes, it does. And the cool thing is he's got sidekicks, 2 smaller 5 foot creatures of the same description accompanied this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. This definitely sounds like a 2-part Ninja Turtles episode.
Every time you hit him, another one pops out.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to beat him without causing damage to him. Luckily, the little ones pop, so you just hit them really hard and they pop.
Nice.
But the big guy, you can't hit him otherwise more come out. He's like the Hydra.
Damn.
Yeah, serious business.
Tough time for the boys.
So then what happened?
That's another downside to the story. That's where it ends. And
what?
Yeah.
These things are in her house, and that's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked up.
This story is the biggest bullshit story that ever bullshitted on any piece of bullshit ever.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this story down and tried to pawn it off as being real should give it up and say, I'm an idiot because I didn't even end the story. Like, there's no abduction. There's no, we sat down and had tea and crumpets. There's no conversation. I saw a flash of light. I walked in. Weird rockhead jellyfish man and his buddies were hanging out. The end. Are they still there? Did they move in? Are you splitting rent?
That's why I'm bummed out I couldn't get this book in time, because in this article, that's all they mentioned about it. The story very well could continue.
There better be at least some tea and crumpet eating, if not full on moving in and or getting married and adopting his kids.
Life planning.
Yeah. Life planning with Rockhead Jellyfish Man.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, we've had somebody on the show who went through an abduction situation, and it really changed how I thought about that type of thing. Let's say this happens to you. It's a relatable story. You get into a tiff with your significant other. You fucking take a walk. You come back. This happens. The only way I'm getting this story out, and believe you me, I'd feel that this type of story would need to get out, was to submit it anonymously somewhere. I'm not saying that shit to people.
Yeah, I'm not saying that shit to anyone, and I'm not posting it on the internet anonymously, especially not under Reddit No Sleep, which is where this one was probably dredged up. Like, you know what? Let's go to the No Sleep forums and see if anyone's got any spooky stories to share that we can say are really weird cryptids.
Yeah, the date bothers me. 2005.
Yeah, but who was phone?
It's
a silly story, and I don't believe it. But the start of it does remind me of something, and I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the show. And it's funny that you bring that this was part of the story, because I was just thinking about this. So have you ever had an experience, and this, when I'm saying you, is to you, Mateo, but it's also to you that's hearing me say you through your speakers or headphones or what have yous. So if anyone has ever had an experience like this, please send me a message on Twitter or send us an email or send me a carrier pigeon. Just in some way, let me know that this has happened, because I haven't been able to find any information on something like this, and I've never heard anyone else that's experienced it. But several times throughout my life, I'll be outside, and it'll be at night, and there will just be a flash, like someone took a picture with a camera and the flash just went off, and that's it. But nobody is around. There's no sound that accompanies it. It's just this flash. Like that's the only thing I can, like, either like a flash of lightning or a flash from a camera. But it's just like a really quick flash. I guess it would be more akin to a camera flash because it's really quick. But no sound, no one's around, and it's happened different locations, and it seems to be isolated. Like one time I remember standing in front of someone's house, and I saw the flash, and it lit up like the front of the person's house, but it didn't light up any of the area around it. And it's happened before where like I'll be in my, it's happened only once, like in my adult life that I can recall, but it was a few years ago, and I was outside, and just this flash occurred while I was walking from my car to my house, and no one's around, and it doesn't seem like anybody else ever sees it that I'm with either, which makes it even weirder, because typically I'll be with people and they won't notice any sort of flash.
How about I have experienced that before?
Yes. Tell me what happened.
I've experienced what you're talking about, and I've experienced like a flash of light that's not the same thing. So maybe if you're listening, you're saying, yeah, I've experienced that, like a flashlight. It could be something with your eyes, whatever. A lot of times like if you're in a room and sunny outside, it could be an airplane or a bird will pass and there's just a flash of shadow in your room, stuff like that.
No, this was nothing like that. Because this is always at night and it's always outside and it's always a flash of light, just one.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
That's why I wanted to differentiate the two, because the one you're talking about, I believe, is very severe. I've been outside, standing outside of a house, maybe with 3 or 4 people, and seen a flash that was so bright that, and mind you, this is the time before everybody had a phone in their pocket that had a camera on it.
Yeah, do keep in mind that we're fucking old geezers.
Old as dirt. But the flash was so bright that instantly, the first thought in my head was, what the fuck was that? And that if it was a camera, it had to be like an old-timey huge flash camera, because it engulfed everything and everybody. It turned almost everything white for a second. But
did the other people recognize that it happened?
No, and I'll tell you what, it freaked me out. And I started saying to everybody there, what the fuck was that? And I had to say it a couple times before everybody started listening to me. And they were talking. I stopped everybody's conversation. I said, what the fuck was that? Because in my mind, I was like, I want to know what that was. Somebody had to have seen that. And they laughed me off. They were literally like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, we're all out here with you. That didn't even happen. But
that's so weird.
It was a huge flash of, I would say, artificial light.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Or like if you, so like a camera flash, or if you put a strobe light on the slowest it can go and you just get the one flash, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And it's only happened to me a few times. It happened mostly when I was a kid, and I remember there was a time when it kind of happened a few times over the course of like a year when I was younger, and it was always on the same street but different locations on the street. And it's only happened to me once since I've been an adult, and it was at the house I currently live in, which is very different location from where I saw the other ones.
It's bizarre. I wonder what that could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
and
flying.
I've never heard like you hear all manner of different things that people experience, and this is something that I've never seen anybody talk or write about before. So if even if you guys haven't experienced it but you've heard of it, give us any information you have. I want to get more people's experiences on this and see how similar they are, and maybe it has something to do with age. Maybe it's something else. I don't know.
A glitch in the Matrix, bro.
Maybe that's what it is, and you're the only one that became like aware in that moment.
It was like a reboot for all the other characters in your life.
Yeah, like what if that flash wasn't really a flash? What if it was like a thing where it was paused? Reality was paused, something happened, and then reality got turned back on. But whatever was going on had something to do with you, so you were the only one that was aware that it happened. Everybody else, it was just, there was no difference in what happened with them. But you needed some tinkering to be done in your brain. And
that flash of light was a 5-hour operation.
Yeah, exactly. Or what if it was like you dying, and the flash of light was the light at the end of the tunnel, and you just get thrown back in, and you're none the wiser. You just had a brief minute of death, or brief millisecond of death.
That's scary shit. That Matrix glitching shit is weird for me.
Yeah, the whole Matrix concept is really, really weird. It would be cool to do an episode on that sometime, but I don't know if that's in our future, or I should say in our near future. That's a deep rabbit hole to go down.
It is. We'd have to get like a specialist on for that, some
Yeah,
theorist.
yeah. Yes, a theorist, a rabbit hole theorist.
Okay, so final. Sorry. So final story. This one takes place in 1961.
Wait, hold on. For those keeping track at home, I'm also ranking the rock jellyfish man as not a kangaroo, but only.
Oh.
No. But listen, the only reason it's not a kangaroo is because it's fecal matter that came from a male cow's bottom. And if you're fecal matter that comes from a cow's bottom, you cannot be a kangaroo. That is one of the number one rules in logic.
It's science.
It is. It's science. So let's see what you got for me for this one.
Okay, 1961 in Spain. This is my favorite one. And there's others in this article that I'll post. So, and again, I'll put the books that they mention up. So if you want to buy and check those out. 29-year-old truck driver, Archimedes Sanchez, along with an unnamed homie, were making a delivery, taking a route through
an unnamed homie. Can we give him a name?
You can. Let's do it.
All right. With a if you're rolling with a guy named Archimedes, you need to also have a really good name, like Ezekiel or something.
Let's do Ezekiel.
All right. He'll be Ezekiel Flores.
All right. Two guys with two unique names. They were driving through this route that goes through the Basque Mountains. And at 11 p.m., they saw something standing in an embankment just ahead of them. And the sight was so startling that they slammed on the brakes and stared at this thing that they were seeing on the side of the road. Now, what they reported seeing was an aquatic version of myself. No, it was a 5 foot tall, hairy octopus that had glowing eyes.
A hairy octopus with glowing eyes.
Yes, and there's a sketch in this article of what they saw, and it's just like what you think. It's Snuffleupagus with like 6 or 8 trunks.
And how tall was it?
4 to 5 feet tall.
Okay, see, now we're creeping back into kangaroo territory.
I knew you'd say that with this one. Well, these two dudes, they stared at this thing, and this thing stared at them for what they said was several minutes. And when Sanchez snapped out of it, he hit the gas and tried to run down poor Floppy. And he said he tried 5 or 6 times until he gave up and decided to get the fuck out of there.
Curse you, Sanchez. You heartless prick. Leave the kangaroos alone.
Archimedes indeed.
Yeah. Where were you, Ezekiel? You should have stopped him. Stop the madness.
Can you imagine being the passenger in that situation? Like maybe having a little bit more level head than Archimedes and being like,
yeah,
dude, go. Hairy octopus.
Archimedes, that's a kangaroo, man. Not a hairy octopus. Just simmer down. Simmer down. Don't try to run over the kangaroo. You're being a dick.
Well, don't you think after 6 attempts of running it down, they would have been able to see that it was a kangaroo?
I mean,
they mentioned that it
trying
would
to
dodge.
make 6 attempts to run down an animal makes you an even bigger dick than trying to run it down just in the first place. You're like, oh, I missed. Let me turn around and what a dick this guy is. I hope he got a flat tire on the way home and had to wait a really long time for a tow truck.
I definitely can understand the sensation of feeling that that thing needed to be destroyed, but I think I would have got away from it before I would have acted on those instincts.
Yeah, it's look at this unique creature that's never been documented by science before. I'm gonna kill it. Fuck you, Archimedes, you dick. This is a unique creature, and it's glorious and beautiful, and it's hairy, and you just want to crush it with your car because you don't know what it is?
Or just pure fear. Come on, man.
Yeah, but why would you be afeared? Why would you be afeared? Come on.
A hairy octopus that's 4 feet tall?
Yeah, but it wasn't trying to attack him. It was just chilling. Yeah. Looking at him. Like, hey, dude.
I got to admit, it pissed me off a little bit when I read that he tried to run it down. Because they said that when it would dodge, it would just stay there. And they said that it was almost like a game to it. And I was like, you're adding some type of reasoning behind its actions. I think it was just observing you. But to try to run something like that down, I get just getting the fuck out of there, but I don't know if it lightens the believability of this story, but that's a weird reaction. Hairy octopus, hit it.
Yeah, it was a kangaroo.
Don't you think they'd be able to see if it was a kangaroo after 6 attempts of trying to run it over?
Here's the thing. It's dark, for one.
It's Spain, too.
I don't know what that has to do with it, but I'll take your word for it.
No kangaroos in Spain.
Yeah, no kangaroos in the U.S. doesn't stop it from being an Enfield horror, though. I'm pretty sure I told the story of the escaped wallaby that happened in my neck of the woods. And I live in fucking Northeast United States. We don't have wallabies up here. Nothing even remotely resembling a wallaby, but someone had it and it escaped their farm.
This from a guy who confused a deer for a demon from hell.
Hey, I just saw the eye shine and the thing was screaming at me. What would you have thought? I'm sure the last thing on your brain would have been deer.
Yeah, demon would have been the first thing.
Demon or a pterodactyl or the Mothman.
Pterodactyl.
Hey, it could happen. But this guy, he's just a fuzzy little cuddly kangaroo. But seriously, think about it though. So it's the middle of the night. You're driving down the highway and you see this thing just kind of run across the road. And you see these big gangly legs and a huge thick tail. And you just see the flash of fur and your headlights catch the eyes. So it looks like it's glowing and not being, I don't want to say not being familiar, but not being used to seeing a kangaroo, or maybe never having seen a kangaroo in person before. It creates, kind of like a block in your mind because you're not expecting to see it. It's not something that you would even dream of seeing in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. Yet there it is. So your brain is trying to fill in the blanks of what this mystery creature is, and you're just seeing these long limbs and this weird motion as it jumps across the road, and it's a fucking hairy octopus.
So one for kangaroo, huh?
Yeah, I think kangaroo gets this one. As much as I want it to be like some weird hairy octopus cryptid, like I think that would probably be one of my favorite cryptids of all time if it was an actual cryptid and not a kangaroo. It's, if not a kangaroo, it's some sort of animal that doesn't belong there that he saw. Or maybe it was like a couple of kangaroos together and they're just like bouncing around really close together.
That's horseshit. Hairy octopus.
Straight from the ocean. The world famous hairy octopus.
Yeah, the sky ocean. I don't think it was an actual amphibious creature. I think this was maybe an alien, if we're being serious.
I'm not saying it's aliens. I refuse.
Why is that?
Because it's a goddamn kangaroo, Mateo. I already established this. Kangaroos, as strange as they are not from outer space. Unless you can prove otherwise. Which I don't think you can, because they're not. Unless they are.
Ooh, before we go, let's name your phenomenon. Let's call it random light phenomenon. Or random flash phenomenon.
Random flash phenomenon. RFPs.
There you go.
Yeah, because RFPs does sound like something. Yeah, I'm here to investigate the RFPs. You know, like the cool internet lingo when they're discussing the phenomenon. It's like, yeah. Sub RFPs.
Who's experiencing the RFPs?
Yeah. I gotta know. I want to know. Maybe I should go to Reddit. Find out on Reddit.
It's where I found about that hairy kangaroo in Spain.
Reddit/RFPs. All day, every day. Fuck off. God damn it. Fuck off. Asshole. Cats, man.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.